The guy who created Claude Code as a side project, yes, you heard that right, a side project, just revealed his entire workflow. And despite calling it vanilla, he runs 5 Claude simultaneously, uses MCP server that posts directly to Slack, custom AI subagents that review his code, and something called the Wiggum plugin that runs Claude in autonomous loops for hours. In this video, I'm going to break down his exact workflow so that you can use Claude Code like the guy who created it. Now, I've been using Claude Code daily for the last couple of months, and I thought I was good at it, but after reading through Boris's thread, I realized there's a lot I don't know and a lot of features I should be using. Features that Boris claimed can 2 to 3x the quality of your AI-generated code. So we're going to cover how to get Claude to one-shot entire pull requests, / commands that save you from repeating the same prompts, and that Wiggum thing, which is way more powerful than it sounds. Let's start with the foundation of his workflow. We're going to be operating on my portfolio site because it's an easy, small enough project where I think you can see the actual value. There are a lot of things I like about it. It's very pretty, but one good feature, for example, is I have this blog post with some code, and ideally I'd like a copy code button. So let's do that. If there's one thing you get out of this video, it's that every session should start with plan mode. To enter plan mode, you're going to press Shift Tab twice. You can also type /plan, and you're going to tell it what you want to build. Now, in this mode, Claude can only read your code base. It can't write anything. You're just going to have a back and forth conversation until you and Claude both agree that there's nothing else to clarify. So let's do that. I want to add a copy code button to my blogs where there is code. It's going to look around, get all the context that it needs, and then come back and ask some follow-up questions. And look at that. It'll come back and actually remind me that there already is one blog post that has a copy code button, which I would have forgotten because I've been maintaining this blog over a decade now. And it's asking me how I want to do it. I have this thing called load templates, which is not a good solution, but exists. And it's asking me if I want to use that. It recommends it. And sure, that's not a bad idea. Then it's going to present me with a plan, and then I'm going to either accept it and let it do its thing, or I can accept it and review it along the way, or I could just tell it to change something. I'm pretty happy with this, and it's a pretty simple feature, so we're just going to auto-accept it. It'll even tell me where to go to see the changes, so let's see it. If we go down to the code, there's this copy button, and if I paste, it's copied it. Now, this was a simple feature for demonstration purposes, but it gives you an idea of what Claude can do and how it could do it. I do think Claude could have done it without entering plan mode, but it's good practice, and Boris himself says, and I quote, "A good plan is really important. Once you like the plan, only then do you switch to auto-accept mode, and Claude can usually one-shot the entire implementation." When I first started adding AI to my workflow, I would ADHD just tell it to do something, and most of the time was spent being like, oh, not like that. But now I spend more time planning and less time debugging, which honestly is the entire job. And it helps me think through what I'm trying to do more clearly, because that is the job of software engineering. And so even if you have really simple features, I encourage you to get into this habit of entering plan mode regardless. Because even for this simple feature, it found me a better solution. And turns out I would have repeated some code that I had forgotten about. The second foundational piece is something called Claude.md, and I'm just going to show you what that looks like. This is my Claude.md file. It lives in your repo and kind of acts like Claude's memory. It's where you document your project's rules, patterns, and preferences for you and your team. So here, it'll tell it the architecture, the key files, the development, how to actually run it, the design system, how to add a blog post, etc. Now, to actually make one, it's quite simple. You type /init, and it'll comb through your code base and generate this document. Now, there is one thing that Boris does that is completely new to me. He actually tags Claude in his teammates' pull requests and asks it to add learnings to Claude.md as part of the PR. So every time someone on his team merges code, the repo's memory gets smarter, and it's a guarantee that whatever init happened on that pull request won't need to happen again. I'm not going to do it here because my portfolio site is only run by me. You would do install GitHub app, and that would allow you to call Claude from. Now we get to the stuff that Boris calls his inner loop. It's the stuff that he does multiple times a day. Boris uses custom / commands for every repeated task. His most used one, you won't be surprised to learn that it's commit push PR. Now you'll see that I don't have it because it's a custom slash command just for him. And your custom slash commands will probably be personalized to your workflow and what works for you. Now, I do have to commit and push a lot, so we're actually going to copy Boris here and make it together. The benefit of this is that instead of having to type out instructions each time, you can just type out the command and Claude Code knows exactly what to do. So to make our own, we're going to make a folder at our root called .claude/commands. And then inside of that, we're going to make a custom markdown file. Let's call ours commit. Now here's a trick that Boris uses to make his commands actually run quickly. You can embed commands into your command with backticks. So instead of Claude asking what's the git status, it already knows, and you don't even need to waste tokens on it coming up with that. So for example, here I'll tell it, here's the current git status, and then this command is going to run, and then it's going to fill with the output of that terminal command. You'll give it your recent commits, and then you'll say something like create a commit based on these stage changes. Now let's run it and see what it looks like based off the changes that it made. Here we go. It'll take a sec. I should have said that it should also add and commit, but sure, we'll have it commit all files. Now you can probably guess that if I wanted to, I could have added everything and at the end of it push. But that's just an example of how you can save all those words into one nice little function. If you've used Claude Code before, you'll know that there is a big optimization with permissions. If I ask Claude to do pretty much anything, it's going to ask you, do I have permission to do this? And you have to approve it every single time. Let's come up with an example. I asked it to look up a website and see if it's good, and it's going to ask me permission. Now, you shouldn't blindly accept permissions for everything, but there are some pretty obvious ones that aren't too bad. In order to set this up, run /permissions, and you can add a new rule. Now, you may have to look up how to get the specific syntax of the command that you want, but for example, if I say, hey, web fetch is all good, it'll ask you, do you want this locally, as a project, or your user settings? I'm just going to say locally because I don't want that to actually impact everything. Now, adding these and clarifying them have helped keep me in a flow state. No interruptions for things I know are safe because I don't need that to take up mental space in my workflow. And notice, it's really important. He's not using a command. I don't even want to teach you this command, honestly. You shouldn't even know. Just don't do it. There is a way to skip everything called dangerously skip permissions. As you can assume, it won't ask you a single question and it'll just start doing stuff. I do not recommend running like this. Instead, I recommend evaluating which permissions you're actually okay with and adding it via that interface that I just showed you. Now, these are pretty simple, but we're going to start getting into some of the power features. Boris uses custom AI sub-agents that run after Claude finishes a task. You can think of these as specialized assistants. He has one called the Code Simplifier that cleans up code after it's written, another called Verify App that has detailed instructions for testing the entire application, and all these other ones that are specific to his workflow. Let's create one together. Just like before, we're going to make a directory called .claude/agents. And in that directory, let's say we're going to create one called Code Simplifier. This markdown, so we'll say name code simplifies code after changes. Tools it has access to, and then below this we'll actually give a description of what it is. You are a code simplification expert. Now, people usually laugh at other people that say things like this. You are an expert, you are a senior dev, but there's actually a really good reason why it works. If you're interested in that, I could make a whole video about that. It's very interesting. After code is written, remove unnecessary complexity. And now that we've made this file, I can say things like use code simplifier to clean up load templates.js. And the specialized agent that we've written will take over. Now, obviously, this isn't a very sophisticated one, but you can have one for your UI, your UX, or your copy, etc. You can have one for really whatever you can imagine. You'll see here that it calls in Code Simplifier, and now it is acting within the description that we gave it. And apparently it has a lot of opinions. I'm a little offended, honestly, but whatever. And now we'll have done some pretty good things. It extracts logic into a function, uses a sign, moves CSS to a constant. All of these seem like generally good things. Now next we have a small thing that prevents a lot of CI failures. Boris actually runs a hook that automatically formats code after Claude edits it. Claude's code is usually formatted correctly, but here's an example of how you can use a hook to handle that last 10% so that you never fail CI on format. Now, there are quite a few hooks you can use. There's one for before you use Claude, there's one for after, there are ones for notifications, etc. But the one that we're concerned with is post tool use. Now, in order to add this, we're going to just call /hooks. And we're going to do post tool use, which is, again, after Claude writes. It's going to ask you, after Claude does what? It gives you all these options, but we're just going to say after you write or after you edit, we're going to call a command. Let's say npm run lint, and we'll just save that locally. And now every time that Claude writes code in your code base, it's going to lint your code. Now this one's actually insane and one I'm really pushing to use at work more. You can get Claude to not just code, but also do things like post to Slack, run BigQuery analytics, and even grab error logs from Sentry or Rollbar. Now you'll see here there are so many servers you can add. I guarantee you that whatever systems you're working with, they're probably in here. We're just going to choose this one because it seems interesting. I don't know what kiwi.com is if I'm being honest, but it says we can search for flights and I do like to travel. So we're just going to copy this. We're going to go back here and now we've added it. Let's go into Claude. If we type /mcp, we can see that we are actually connected. And now that we've confirmed it's there, let's search for some flights. Find me the cheapest flight from Austin to New Zealand. I've been wanting to go to New Zealand. Let's see what we could do. This might take a sec. I'm not sure how good this is. Now it'll come back with all these options, which are admittedly pretty bad, but it's giving me options saying this is the cheapest. It has 1, 2, 3 with 3 stops, which is kind of insane. Or this one, which only has 1 stop. Connect to something like Slack, you can have it read from Slack, or you can have it write to Slack as well. Now, this is a silly example, but you can use it with Atlassian, you can use it with Slack, you can use it with Jira to write your tickets for you, you can do it to open PRs for you, and this ends up turning Claude Code from just a coding assistant to an interface for your entire development ecosystem. Now, next part of this is something that Boris claims is very important for him. It allows Claude to run for extremely long amount of time. I haven't personally done this because I'm still building that trust with the system to just fully let it run for hours, and it costs a lot of money. The way that he's using stop hooks is when Claude says it finish a task, sometimes it's not actually done and you need to follow up. And so what Boris will do is he will spawn a verification sub-agent that will check its work and say, no, you're not done, keep working. Or it will confirm that it's done and be like, oh, you're good. So in order to do that, similar to the other hook we set up, we go to hooks, we go all the way down to stop. And then same way, we would have to define what that verification looks like and then add it in here. This creates a feedback loop without you having to babysit and allows people to run Claude Code for hours until it finishes an entire code base, which is not necessarily how I imagine using it, but that is an option that you should know about if you are going to use Claude Code. And now finally, we get to the thing with the really weird name. The Ralph Wiggum plugin is named after the Simpsons character. It was invented by a developer named Jeffrey Huntley, and it's kind of correct. Instead of Claude working on a task once and stopping, Ralph keeps Claude working in loops until it genuinely succeeds. Very similar to the stop hook before it. The results, and remember, this is reported from Twitter, these results, if they're true, are actually insane. Jeffrey Huntley apparently ran a 3-month autonomous loop that built an entire programming language, and another engineer completed a $50,000 contract for $297 in API costs. If someone could let me know where these $50,000 contracts are, I'd be very grateful. But it turns out that it's not intended to be used for everything. You wouldn't use it for simple tasks, but for large refactors, batch operations, or grinding through hundreds of support tickets, this is where it shines. This is my first time installing it as well, so let's see what all the hubbub's about. Install Ralph Wiggum, install for you. Just as a test, we'll actually run this on something I've been meaning to do for a long time, although I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little scared. We're gonna run this on my website and we're gonna do a stress test. I'm a little scared to do this. I don't know how it's gonna go, but everyone's raving about it. The creator of Claude Code says it's good, and so we should try it out. So if you click on my blog, older blogs have not migrated over to our new style. So if you click on our new style, you'll see that it is a much better user experience. And on top of that, I still haven't quite standardized the styling across everything. There are some minor differences, but overall style is developing. You'll see I have this tab bar on the left, which isn't there in the base. Anyway, we're going to go back and we're going to push this thing to its limits. Create a unified styling based on my most recent articles, blog posts, and migrate old blog posts to use this new style. Do max iterations 50. It is chugging away, and I'm actually a little nervous at the cost of this. It's all good. We're stress testing it. It's still got some ways to go, and yeah, I'll tune when it's done. It did not look like it's stopping. Oh my god, there's still 20 more. All right, I mean, this is interesting. It said this is taking too long. Let me launch some parallel tasks to help migrate the remaining posts. So I think now there are 3 agents that are working on this. Well, it seems to have finished, and I'm honestly, it's not perfect. It's really good. Don't get me wrong. Honestly, it's better than what I had here before. But there's some things. Apparently, we lost the copy code that we had. So that's unfortunate. These diagrams, they were ugly to begin with, but now that they're not centered, they're especially ugly. But I will say this one, I wrote this probably in 2020. Oh, wow, look at that. Holy crap is right. See, this is a weird thing that's going on. Oh, I really like the way it's incorporated colors, but it's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect. Bujo, my first successful open source project. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to keep it. I think asking Claude Code to do something as large as this while people are talking about it on X are really just a money sink. I think that cost me $10. I think it will get there, and I think there will be a day where it can do that, and that day is probably sooner than I think. But as of right now, having it as part of your workflow is really the best way to use this. Now, I just want to look at this together because Boris says that this is the most important thing to get great results out of Claude Code. It's to give Claude a way to verify its work. If Claude has that feedback loop, it will 2 to 3x the quality of the final result. Claude tests every single change I land using the Claude Chrome extension. It opens a browser, tests the UI, and iterates until the code works and the UX feels good. Verification looks different depending on what you're working on. It might look as simple as running a bash command, running a test suite, or testing the app in a browser or phone simulator. Maybe if I had done this for my portfolio sites, I'd have to be a little creative as to what that looks like. I think I probably could have gotten away with it. So that's how the creator of Claude Code actually uses Claude Code. To recap, 1, start in plan mode. 2, build your Claude.md over time. 3, use / commands for repeated workflows. 4, pre-allow safe permissions. 5, deploy sub-agents for review and testing. 6, auto-format with post tool use hooks. 7, connect external tools with MCP. 8, use stop hooks for verification. And 9, I don't recommend this, but just know that Ralph Wiggum is available. I'll always continue testing things because that's just what I do. I can't help it. And if anything mind-blowing happens, I will report it here. My videos are usually using tech for entertainment, but I think I have some value to share and hope that you found it useful. If you did find this useful, please like and subscribe and spend some time with your loved ones.